started with the basil pesto toast, the avocado toast, and now we're moving up to basil pesto salmon.
So this is another way to use any pesto that you have. And I promise this is gonna be like one of your favorite dishes that you're gonna keep in your back pocket because it's so easy. You can make it with a salad, you can make it on rice. Today we're gonna make it with quinoa. We're gonna dress the quinoa a little bit. But this is wild salmon we have here. And I gave the salmon some love from below, which is basically avocado spray and a little bit of salt. So we season the skin also.
Oh, that's a nice pro tip.
Yeah, so you want to make sure that everywhere is seasoned.
I've never done that.
So I always make sure that the skin down, if you're baking. If you're frying, that's different. But if you're baking, you make sure that you season the skin also. So we're going to take the pesto first.
Okay.
And you're going to use your brush.
Oh. Okay.
And you're going to brush on generously the pesto.
Okay.
Perfect. And you're going to lather it on because you want to make sure that when it's in the oven, that pesto sauce is just going to bake in and make a delicious crust.
Okay. Yeah, I like how I deliberately wanted to start with something pretty easy that anybody can do in the kitchen. And as we go on and maybe do more of these, we can continue to increase the level of
expertise
in these dishes.
So this is easy because you can just buy all these ingredients. You don't have to make any of these sauces and whip them together, and it looks like you're a pro. And they're kind of foolproof. As long as you have the right flavors and you use fresh ingredients, you can't really go wrong.
Yeah, I make salmon like once or twice a week, and we make it the same way. And I just throw it in my air fryer.
So you could totally put this in the air fryer too.
With the pesto?
With the pesto. So you would foil the air fryer and then just set it in the same way.
Does that look good?
Perfect.
Or do we need more?
You did great. So we're just going to get these little edges. And then the next step is sprinkling a little bit of Parmesan on top of it. It has cheese, but we're going to add cheese because that never hurt anyone. I mean, it might be your cholesterol, but it's going to taste better. Right here, you can put some on there too.
Okay, so pretty.
Yeah, when you zest it, it's called angel cheese.
Oh, so you zested this yourself?
I zested this, yeah.
Okay.
Because it looks fancy.
It does look fancy.
These ones weren't zested. I changed my mind halfway.
Just like a normal cheese
Just
grater?
a normal lemon zester.
Oh, a lemon zester.
You just use that with the Parmesan cheese.
Okay.
Okay, and the last step is the most tasty. These are pistachios that we ground up. You can put it in a coffee grinder, food processor, and if you don't have any of those things, you can put it in a Ziploc bag, get really angry, and just beat it.
So don't pistachios have like shells?
So these are shelled.
Oh,
you can
so
buy
you buy them that way?
Yes,
oh, okay.
Yeah. They sell them at Costco, at Whole Foods that are already shelled.
Okay.
For the lazy person that wants it done for them.
Okay.
So this is already shelled. You could buy it with the shell and do it yourself.
God, I love this flavor. I've never tried it on
It's
salmon.
so delicious.
Did you just make up this recipe?
I did, and it's been a keeper ever since.
I'm gonna do
You know, when everyone asks, like, I need a salmon recipe, like, try this. The flavors work so well.
I love the crunchy, like
pistachio.
Yeah.
I think that's the Persian in me. I was like, we need to add some pistachios in this.
Oh, is that a Persian?
I think Middle Easterns love nuts and pistachios, so it kind of made it more Persian.
Delicious.
Okay, so this is basically ready to pop into the oven. You can put some lemon. We'll do 2 with and then 2 without. So we're gonna garnish with some lemon slices.
Okay.
And in presentation, it looks really delicious, and it gives a little bit of acid flavor too.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're gonna put it in the oven, 350 for about 15 minutes.
Okay.
Salmon has a tendency to overcook, and it depends on your preference of how well you like your salmon. How well do you like yours?
Probably medium.
Medium. Okay, so we're around 17 to 20.
Okay.
Right, so this is our quinoa. Quinoa, you should always wash it before. It takes away the bitterness. So this is 1 cup of quinoa that I have just basically rinsed with water.
Okay.
And then I have 2 cups of water in here. So I'm gonna heat up this to a high. We're going to put all the quinoa in. And then we're gonna season our quinoa bath. So we have what's it called? Chicken paste, onion powder, and garlic powder. It kind of gives it that cooked all day flavor. without actually cooking all day. It's a cheat. It's a good cheat to have. And that particular one is a good quality brand to use. Okay, so we're gonna bring this to a boil, and then once it's at a boil, it will gradually turn it down. The key is to kind of cook out all the liquid and make it fluffy, not mushy.
Okay.
So then the last few minutes, the 10 minutes, we'll put the lid on and let it steam cook.
Okay.
And then our salmon will be done.
Okay, yeah, easy, super easy. Do you usually cook a green with your salmon, or what kind of, when you're doing sides, do you do the salmon and quinoa and that's it, or do you do salmon, quinoa, and something else?
I always love a salad. So
Okay.
we're in this particular meal, we're gonna dress the quinoa and make it feel like a salad. We'll
Okay.
add some fresh vegetables and some fresh herbs in it.
Okay.
But otherwise, you know, with broccoli, asparagus,
Yeah.
any green is always great.
Okay, so we just pulled the salmon out of the oven.
It's a beautiful crust.
Beautiful crust, nice and golden, and we're going to plate.
So we're gonna take the quinoa, and it's all done cooking, and it's nice and beautifully fluffy. So we're gonna season it. So we did season it a little bit, but now we're gonna dress it. That's a better way to describe it. Okay. So we have our quinoa, and it's gonna be kind of like a quinoa salad. We have our tomatoes we're gonna add. Some of these. If you want to do a few drizzles of this avocado oil. Perfect. Maybe one more just like that. So we're not drowning it in oil, we're not cooking it anymore, but we just want to have it a little glisten, and that's what that really does. So this is cilantro, some parsley, some mint, and some basil. You know, how much you use is up to you. I try to use a little equal parts of quinoa to whatever the fresh herb is. And then we're gonna add some fresh lemon zest, and I'll get you to stir this.
Okay.
There you go. So mix it all up.
One thing that Mona and I talked about last time we were here, kind of doing our practice run, and we made that shrimp, those Mexican bowls.
Yeah.
And we talked about just how we both enjoy plating. It's like opening up a gift that you receive on Christmas. Part of the joy of the gift is just opening it, and the way the gift is wrapped. And so right before you eat a tasty meal that you've worked so hard for, or maybe not hard for, but it's just the presentation of it.
Yeah, for sure. I always believe that you eat with our eyes, so I want something to look beautiful, and I want the colors before you can even get to the taste or any of that stuff. So I feel like the plating is really important, and that shows the first stage of how much care you put into it, right? 'Cause someone went out of their way to make it look beautiful before they went out of their way to cook it and make it taste good.
Right.
So that's really important. So I'm gonna use, this is definitely gonna show you how much love you put into something because you're using a mold. So this is basically a biscuit cutter or a cookie cutter. So we're gonna use that. We're gonna put it in the center.
Oh, I love that.
And then you basically, you can hold that, and I'm gonna scoop this into the center. And that's just a way to make a fancy little mold.
Yeah.
And then I'm patting it down.
Oh, look at that.
And this is gonna be the base little house for our salmon to go on or around.
So in the quinoa, we put the red onion, the avocado oil, tomato,
Lemon zest.
and
then it's a mixture of cilantro, parsley, a tiny bit of mint. Mint can be overpowering, so you don't use a ton, but a little bit of basil, or whatever you have that's fresh. Whatever is fresh is always going to be best.
A little bit of lemon.
And then splashes of some lemon and some salt.
Okay. So now remove
Okay,
that.
so you're going to slowly glide that up, and it holds its shape.
Great.
And then we're going to take our beautiful salmon. Sit up on here. And then if you had some microgreens, you could put that.
Oh yeah.
But we don't, but what we do have is a little bit of, you can put some oil and some balsamic too.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do
Oh, that's pretty. Yeah.
And then we'll use some of this balsamic.
Pretty.
It's very abstract.
I
Okay, and then we'll take a little bit of our crushed pistachios
Oh, yeah.
and make a little pistachio powder dust. Here we go.
Mona's Kitchen or 11 Madison. I mean, look at
We need
this.
tongs for 11 Madison. Oops.
So, we'll make the other mold.
Make the next one.
So, I know you're self-taught. I mean, is your mother or grandmother a big chef? Did you watch YouTube videos? How did you learn?
Well, my mom was a really good cook and is still a really good cook. So she gave me, I would say, the palate. Like I know what good food tastes like. But I definitely didn't learn from her. Now I definitely bug her and call her and ask her for like recipes and how did you make this? Now that I care to learn, but as a young kid, I probably didn't care to learn. I was convinced I was gonna have boxed pasta for most of my married life. But then my husband was in residency and he was gone for like 48, for days. Sometimes when they're on call. So I would want to make something really delicious when he got home. So that's when I would start looking up recipes, and this is way before there was a lot of Food Network shows to watch, but that's what started it.
There we go.
Ta-da!
That's awesome.
You did a great job, Nugget.
So
So
now,
now we're gonna rest. You can put it on top or
yeah, I kind of like that little
angle.
leaning
Oh,
on our
crumbled
tower
on
of
one
quinoa.
side, yeah.
Oh, and then you had a little bit of oil here. Of this.
Totally.
A little bit of oil.
And do pistachio dust.
Look at that.
Ta-da! All ready
Look at
to
us.
be enjoyed.
Yeah, this is an easy, relatively easy. I mean, total from prep to cook time. What do
sure.
you think? 30 minutes?
Less than, yeah.
Yeah, less than. And I mean, what a great way to impress your friends for a quick and easy
Lunch or dinner.
lunch or dinner.
Yeah.
Let's enjoy. All right, we are ready to dig
I
in.
can't wait to have this first bite with you. I'm gonna make the perfect bite. A little bit of quinoa, a little bit of
Oh, yeah.
salmon.
Perfect bite.
So good. How flavorful is that salmon? It's super easy.
And I like the texture.
Yes.
I mean, it's using all senses, right? Like you said, you want it to look delicious, obviously taste delicious, and then just the textures in your mouth. That's kind of fun about preparing salmon this way with that pistachio crumble.
Yeah,
I like that
so
extra kind of crunch.
Yeah, for sure. And it's really easy to bake. So a lot of the salmons, you can make it in a saute dish or a pan, but baked salmon is just so easy to prep ahead of time and then make day of. This is a kind of a no-brainer recipe.
And so did you have some favorite cookbooks, or were these recipes that were handed down by your mother, or was this YouTube? I mean, where would you find or draw your inspiration from?
So I believe in like intuitive cooking. So it's really important to kind of trust your own palate when it comes to learning how to cook. So sometimes if you follow a recipe, it can give you a gist of what the ingredients are, but ultimately you need to know if you like something a little bit more sweet or a little bit more spicy or a little bit more nutty or whatever it could be. But the recipe is as a guide, but it isn't the rule book. So for me, I started with recipes. And then when you make something so many times, you don't need the recipe and then you kind of wing it.
Right.
And that little space where you wing things is where things get improved, or you learn different tricks, or you're like, hey, why don't I add a little bit of cream to this? Or why don't I add a little bit of heat to this? Or more lemon to this? And that's when I realized that my cooking went up into another level when I didn't follow the rules.
Right. Well, and I think that's also where your confidence, with time, you build that confidence. And so that was one of the things we were talking about during our trial run. I don't have that history, therefore I lack that confidence. And so I think to your point, learning how to taste with your palate in your mouth, that really, once you know how to do that, you can just take more liberties and be, not have to follow a recipe.
For sure.
Like I'm used to.
Well, sometimes you need someone to also tell you. You can learn by trial and error, like by saying, wow, I put way too much heat in this. I can't eat it because it's so spicy. But then also someone saying, hey, if you put too much mint is going to be the only herb that you taste. Or if you put this olive oil, it has a burning temperature, so you're gonna have a bitterness if you try to fry with it. Like some of those things you can either learn with time or with the coaching or watching videos and listening, but it's just absorbing whatever's around you and trying to like take from that.
Right. Do your kids ever cook with you?
My daughter does not like to cook, but she likes to bake, so we're a really good balance.
Yeah.
So she bakes and I cook, so it's a really good. And my son is really good at trying new foods, so we call him my tester, because he'll test anything for me.
Oh,
Takes that job very seriously.
That's nice,
So
too,
cute.
to have an adventurous palate
Yes.
at such a young age.
He's very proud of it. He'll let you know.
Well, I know that both of my sisters cooked with my mother a lot growing up, and I was the tester. I was like, I'll taste. You just feed me. And now, I'm really learning how to cook for the first time in my 30s, which is crazy. But I think it's special. I mean, every time I think about cooking, I have such amazing memories about my grandmother and my mother, and just for her, it was a love language, and I could see that it is for you too.
Yeah,
so it's
for
just
sure.
so fun to like be able to know these recipes, and then to be able to, once you have kind of your staples, pass those down.
Yeah,
and
sure.
that's kind of like your legacy.
I mean,
with your
this
family.
particular recipe you could do with chicken too.
Yeah.
It would, these flavor
It's easy.
profiles
Oh, yeah,
work
you
with
just-
anything. Yeah.
Well, Mona, thanks again for letting us come in and teaching me how to do some great inventive things with avocado toast, this amazing salmon. I can't wait to come back. I want to learn more. And I hope you all enjoyed watching and can experiment trying something new for your friends and family.